I apologize for the very bad audio on this. It's just not very. It's not a very good time. Recently, Ratatouille 2 came out, as all of you know, and it's really, really bad. Like, I can't stress enough how bad they did it. Nintendo really messed up on this one. Like, I couldn't believe it. I saw Ratatouille 1, and I was like, wow, DreamWorks is doing a great job on this, but then Ratatouille 2 came out, and they announced, first of all, they announced that they weren't going to send out review copies to YouTubers, which is kind of weird, because they normally do that. And the last time that happened was with a game called No Man's Sky. But, nah, let's forget about that. They didn't send out review copies of Ratatouille 2 to YouTubers, which is just horrible to do. And it's hurting the YouTube industry, honestly. And right now, YouTube is just a really bad place already. So for them to drive traffic away from YouTube and not allow people to stream Ratatouille 2, that was already horrible. But then we get to the actual movie. Now this movie is horrible. But before we get to that, I'm gonna touch on Ratatouille 1 and how amazing that movie was. We're gonna talk about that for a little bit. So, Ratatouille is a pretty simple premise. This is going to be a spoiler alert for any of you guys who have not watched through the movie. There are some very huge spoilers that I do not want to ruin for you. Because, yeah. So, first, Ratatouille. Remy's mother is killed by Linguini, and it's revealed that he was the villain the entire time. And that revolution, the French Revolution, he actually was the person who caused that, and he was not Gusteau's kid at all. He was just lying to get underneath Remy's skin. And then he killed Remy's mother. This scene in Ratatouille 2 was just so heartbreaking and horrible. Because in the first movie, Linguini's just so kind and he's so nice. They completely changed his character to make him unlikable. Like, come on, what was the last Disney movie that made a character unlikable? None of them. But I'm gonna be honest, I gave that a pass because overall, Linguini was a very minor character in the original story of Ratatouille. So, yeah, I was fine with that. But then, they turn around and kill off the main guy. They kill off the main guy. They kill off Ratatouille himself. And that was when I drew the line. And that was when I knew that I would not like this movie at all. This is just in the opening credits. So the first two characters are the first two characters are ruined already, and we're just I'm just already disappointed. I don't want to continue watching this, but I was like, well, will be maybe Ratatouille 2 will be great as Ratatouille. But it wasn't. It was horrible. It sucked. It was the worst movie ever. And I was really disappointed because I'm a huge fan of Ratatouille, as many of you know. Like, I bought all the books, I bought all the movies. The Ratatouille series is a very expansive thing. There are fragmentary passages. There are prequels, plushies, video games. As most of you may know, the Ratatouille franchise began in 1849 in a children's book called simply Ratatouille and the Adventure of Ratatouille. And I like when that book came out, I was like, yeah, sure, this is an overrated book. But then I bought it and I read it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing book. And I was so excited for the next one to come out. But the next one didn't come out until 1849, which is just amazing. The author spent years inside his cabin in the cold thinking up ideas for this. And this second book is what inspired the Ratatouille movie. It was so amazing. It's 1,000 pages long. And many of you may be like, well, I'm not so sure I want to read all that. But I'm going to be honest, it's worth it. Like, Ratatouille, like, you may see it, you may play the video games, and you may be like, this is bad, this sucks. But if you watch the movies, I recommend reading the books first, but if you watch the movies and read the books, you will be enthralled. This story is just so amazing. Ratatouille 2, though, Ratatouille 2 is not based on any of the books. In fact, they tried to make a sequel to the movie. Now, the movie changes a lot of things. Remy's mom is not in the movie at all. And they add a new side character called Linguini. And he's a very minor guy, but, you know, he's fine. I don't really have a problem with his introduction. He's got a good story arc. He's got a good... Like, I like his character. Nice addition to the story. But they kill him off. And they kill Remy off. And they kill Remy's mom off. The three most important characters of that movie, they kill off. Remy gets stabbed through the heart with a kitchen knife, which is very, very brutal for the Ratatouille series. There's never really been an instance of gore in Ratatouille. Now, in this movie, the main character is Ego, which I do not have a problem with. I like Ego in the first movie. I liked his character arc. He began to like food. And I thought that was pretty good. I think that works. I think. But I always thought that his story arc needs to be lengthened. There's a lot more of his story that needs to be told. And in Ratatouille 2, that they do tell the rest of the story, and that's one of the most, I'm sorry, I'm tearing up because this movie is just so bad. But at the same time, there's so many things I love about it. Like, Remy died. That made me cry. That really did. But let's end that. Ego's story arc's pretty cool. In the very beginning, he's just a food critic, and by the end, he's got 3 katanas. One of them has a trigger, and it shoots laser beams. It's really cool, really awesome, really epic. He gets a fedora, which I was kind of mixed on. But nah. Oh, I know that didn't happen. That was in the book. I'm sorry. Now, this is actually a movie adaptation of the video game Hatris. Which, if you do not know, Hatris is one of the best movies ever created. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Hatris just encapsulates the amazing nature of video games. Like, video games can be bad, but video games, most of the time, they can be good. And I think this is an example of a good video game movie. Hatris deviates a lot from its source material, but they renamed it to Ratatouille very late in production because they lost the rights to Hatris. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm doing, so bye.